Hey guys, Crew of Blind Wave, I'm Eric.
Aaron.
Oh, we're here for Legend of Tomorrow.
Yes.
Sometimes I sit down and Aaron's like, Eric, go. And I'm like, all right, what are we doing?
Well, we're here for Legends.
Legends of Tomorrow.
We fought off the Robos.
He's right.
We fought Robo everybody.
Yep.
And beat like all of them.
Yep.
And sent Robo Nate to be in a never-ending Terminator cycle of
It ain't good.
keeping the timeline good.
Uh-huh. It kind of felt like a wrap-up of the Robo Gideon story stuff, but except for we had a Robo crawl its way out of hell.
Astra.
Gideon.
Astra stabbed Gideon, which was part of our poll too.
Her fake mom stabbed her.
Yeah, who also used to live in hell.
Yeah.
She survived it.
Yeah.
What do you think will happen to Gideon? We had 19% say she just dies.
Dead. She's dead.
No more Gideon. Which I don't want that. That'd be terrible. 24% said that she will be saved. We'll have Gideon. She'll be fine. And 55% said her consciousness will be put into the Wave Rider. Yet again, because that's where she was before, right? Is that the Wave Rider?
Yeah.
Okay.
Off camera.
No, it's still on camera.
Damn it.
All right, Dip says, put her back into the Wave Rider, but we can see the actress inside the Wave Rider as a hologram.
I like that idea. Like, she can, like, walk around, experience things.
Dip says maybe she can pretend to be a ghost and fuck with people.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Or Gary.
Enough. Spencer says, go back to the shipverse.
Shipverse.
I guess that's like where the ship is. Where the shipping. Gary.
The universe she inhabits is only the ship. Shipverse.
Sonic Burst says, I think they will put her back into the new Wave Rider.
Mm-hmm. Clean it up, you know? Like, clean out all those wires from Evil Gideon.
Gavin says to save the soul/mind, she must give up her body to the ship. I meant to the ship.
Her body goes in the ship, not her mind.
No. To save her soul and mind, she has to give up her body.
We will fly her body through time. Is that what they mean?
No.
Get in, everybody!
No. What is that? What are you doing? Marcus the Boss says, as much as I would like to see more human Gideon, I'm kind of starting to miss the nostalgic feeling when she was the Wave Rider's android.
Yeah.
Like the older seasons. Man, that just made me think of season 1 and how much I miss Snart, and now we'll just have Chill Blaine. Damn you, Blind Wave Poll, for making me feel these emotions again.
I'm sorry.
He also put Chill Lane.
Chill Lane. It's apt. Man, if you cross over to Legends, I don't know if I could take it.
It'd be great, right?
It would not be great.
Such a. Oh man, I'd be so happy.
I would only watch to wait for his inevitable death.
I would watch just to enjoy.
To watch me?
You not enjoying it. And then Ryan says they will kick her.
They're just gonna kick her.
I don't know. That seems to be your solution all the time.
Kick her.
Like you and Rick were like, kick her.
Well, she deserved to be kicked. She married Terry Silver.
No, that's not how it works.
Yeah,
no.
I'm pretty sure that was probably in his vows when he was all coked up. You guys should watch Cobra Kai if you haven't. Before that, if you haven't, you should watch the Karate Kid movies, up to at least 3. And then Cobra Kai, one of the fantastic revelations of the last couple of years of new shows, as is Legends. Which, Aaron, this is the year of 1 million Wave Riders. That's right. We love Legends so much, we named our fans after them. Yeah. Actually, they kind of named themselves.
They did. They did name themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they amassed themselves into an orderly group of 1 million people this year.
Did they do that?
I think so. I mean, we kind of live on this show like off of the timeline, so just I know it happened in the year 2022.
People did it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was in the year 2022.
Did they kick her?
In the year 2022, Blind Wave had 1 million subscribers.
We need computer Gideon.
If we do that, she'll kill us.
Could take weeks to pilot the ship home manually. She needs medical attention now.
We shut her down once, we can do it again. Let's turn on the
You gotta turn her back on?
Protocol 276.
What? It's not 276.
What is that?
I don't know. As soon as she's healed, we shut the ship.
Someone write it down.
Good job, babe.
Ugh. Bad job, babe.
They must have changed the wiring. I can't control the ship.
It's on autopilot. Or Gideon pilot. Decompression. Oh no, she's opening everything.
Wait. Who is the woman in the med bay?
You.
Damn it.
Damn it.
Yeah, well, I definitely don't trust that food fabricator.
Hey, hold up.
I scored up some peanuts.
Thanks, Grandma.
Where is the food? One bag of nuts.
Share?
Wait, I have an idea. Spooner.
Wait, how you gonna share that many? There's only like 5 peanuts in the bag.
Multiplicare.
Oh, man. Everyone gets. Now don't eat the original.
That's what Jesus did.
What?
The loaves and fishes. Multiplicare.
I mean, we will return home, and Computer Gideon will monitor the timeline.
Sorry, stop being legends?
Legends don't retire. Except for Ray, and Nora, and Amaya, and Jax, and Wally. And Mona.
Charlie.
And Mick.
Oh, don't forget the Hawk people.
Okay.
Everybody forgets the Hawk people.
Legends don't retire in bulk.
I'm listening.
All right, we need a new plan to shut this computer down and get off the ship.
How?
There's the jump ship.
No, it won't work with Gideon offline. If only we had a time courier, we could destroy the ship for good and portal home.
You like one of these?
Sounds like we have our plan.
It's funny that this is the same ship, but not.
Sure.
Oh, okay. Well, what happens if I'm not?
Well, once you're past the bulkhead, she can open the airlock and eject you without harming our Gideon.
Okay, got it. One farted. I'm sucked out of the temporal zone.
You're not gonna fart. And when you come back with the courier,
You're not gonna fart.
Oh, all right, get in. We'll give it a shot, right, guys?
Why is she holding her hair like this?
She's just trying to hide the thing.
Okay.
Influencer decade.
You become one of the most successful people in the world, and your makeup line accumulates over $45 billion of revenue.
Jesus Christ.
You're a cosmetic industry titan.
Thanks. Good luck. No such thing.
That you're not have glass on.
Yeah. I feel like I would have gotten in the other way, so I wouldn't have to turn around.
She's so small, it doesn't matter. If I had done that, she's like, I'm stuck, I can't move.
It's over already.
how's the hat? What is it? That's impressive.
I don't know, feels pretty regressive.
She feels like she's more than that now.
Here we go.
You, me, and B.
He is a kid.
Astra 2040? Is that what it said?
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Oh, she's like running for.
Very close attention to your journey,
Dr.
and you've
Baby.
certainly come a long way.
Oh, Gwen Allen, come.
Of course.
Camp is awesome. I've been learning archery,
They got a kid.
all the plans in my nature logbook.
You can return to 1925, live out the rest of your days in Wales, and it'll be quite beautiful. Peaceful.
Alone. No, where'd it go?
Here's an album.
I can't wait to see you. I love you. Bye, Mom. Bye, Mama. See you soon.
Mama.
So many of them are gonna be like, you know what? I like that future.
That's our daughter?
What'd you think it was?
Let's just hope Spooner's got this one.
Wait, well, if they've all done it, doesn't Spooner need to go and see her future? And are they gonna be like, hey, where's she at?
If Spooner doesn't show, Gideon's gonna get suspicious.
Then I guess she'll just have to show.
I've got just a spell.
That walk.
Man,
You think she will fart like Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back?
I don't know.
Alert. Intruder in the armory. No. You're right. I am going to kill her.
Is there magic or something she can do?
You heard her. I'm gonna blow this door wide open and we will all get sucked out.
This whole time, all you've wanted was to go home. I have arranged that. What more do you want?
To keep the timeline safe.
That's rich. You regularly put the timeline in danger for your own personal dramas.
Yes, a time fascist would see it that way.
I mean,
Not wrong.
Time needs to be in the hands of someone who understands that change is not the enemy.
Exactly, someone who can balance the variables of history with compassion and heart.
A legend.
It needs me.
And why would I take this deal?
She gonna be the new captain?
Protocol, there must always be one captain and one AI. And I am the best you are ever gonna find.
You have to do the right thing, even when it sucks.
But is it the right thing? Guys, we're just gonna stop being legends?
For the timeline, I think it is.
Go sign your contracts.
Man, this is the last season of Legends, and
I don't know. Certainly feels like it could be.
no, beat its ass.
Are you happy or sad?
No, yeah.
What is the point of making friends if you're just never gonna see them again, Spooner?
What if you could?
The multiplication.
We're gonna multiplicate. Oh.
Holy fuck. That's fucking cool.
Then we all can go to Constantine's house.
So I really want to say something before I go.
What's he gotta go? He's just an alien.
You're the most amazing person I've ever known.
Yeah, what was his gonna?
What's his future?
I want you to hear this for real this time. I love you, Gideon.
Stay with me.
See? There we go.
Yeah.
I already planned our first date.
What was it?
I guess you have to show up to find out.
Fine. I'll come. Wait. Did I just get...
I mean, she doesn't have a life to get back to, too, really, right? But I guess she's gonna
She
be
was
president.
dead, and then she's back.
Yeah.
Beyrod, though, is from the future, right? So she'll go back to more of the present.
You nervous about seeing Alan?
I won't have Alan.
What?
Now, Alan and I, we will see each other again. If not in this life, in the next one. It's beautiful. Yes. Yes, it is.
Gwen,
Is it gonna be like if we all can't have a happy ending, then none of us will? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I don't know.
we're not gonna all do this if we can't get Zari and...
The Legends are up to something, and I have to stop them. Ready the jump ship, and Gideon, no killing the Legends while I'm gone. Is that an... It's an order.
Why is she readying the jump
I
ship?
don't know. But I like her confidence.
There's a blow dryer in the bathroom.
yes, there's a blow dryer in the bathroom.
It has a charger.
Who knew robots use hair dryers?
Did you see the lift in Robonate's hair? You can't 3D print that.
Oh my gosh, they could have just done it in the bathroom this whole time?
Ready.
That's such a fast charge!
I am deeply, deeply moved that you would all sacrifice your own personal paradises for me to have a chance to realize mine. But I'm sorry, I must refuse.
Dang robotic doors.
Well, all right then, you've convinced me. Let's go see him.
Oh, she went and got him.
Anyway, it's a lot to take in, isn't it? And I can imagine how you must be feeling now. I should probably leave you in peace.
Well, that was foolish of me to think that's what you wanted.
No, that's
The man invented time travel, Alan.
what I've always wanted, you know. In the river, I will find you for what?
Is it not really Alan?
Well, of course I will. Who else would I be, eh?
Is it a print? Is it like
It's
a
not,
robot?
It's not a robot, is it?
I don't know.
Midweek parties are the best.
What time zone
Oh, that'd be 8 Eastern, 7 Central. Only on the... Anyway, it doesn't matter. So, tonight we dine in Paris. I made us dinner.
You mean I made dinner?
The other Gideon.
She's like the doctor and he's the companion.
Yeah,
That's what
I
it's
guess.
like now.
What is that?
I don't know.
But they make it in Paris.
I asked Gideon to make something fancy in French, and voila.
So talented.
You're so talented.
Why are you lying, Gideon? You know what it is.
You do?
Well,
She should know everything.
I just didn't want to hurt your feelings, Gary, by making you feel dumb.
Oh, no. Never dim your light to make me feel better. Just don't lie.
Good line.
I like that.
Alan is a robot.
I knew it.
Why would you do that?
I intended to save Alan. But then I discovered that Alan's death is a fixed
do it.
point.
Oh.
If I were trying to go back to save him, they would have been killed.
I need some time to think.
I wondered if he was a robot. A fixed point, though. Why is it a fixed point for his death?
I guess that battle.
Yeah.
Right now, you are torn between anger at Gideon for betraying you and a desire to apologize since you don't want to lose her.
Right.
I don't want to choose between Gary and my job.
You're going to have to make difficult decisions every day.
What if he leaves, huh?
Then you know the man he truly is.
She's trying to set us up. She's trying to do the opposite of a meet cute. To leave ugly.
Where is she?
She's in the armory.
That's
You better make sure she doesn't vent you.
Gideon?
She's not in here. No.
You and your obsession with love pose too great a risk to the timeline.
I'm not.
Bye.
Yeah.
I vowed to move heaven and earth till you were saved.
He knows it's not him, huh?
Which is why I have to do this. I'm coming.
Damn, man.
I'll tell you what, none of that went anyway I thought it was going to.
Like the retirement.
Like there was a
stuff?
certain point where I'm like, holy shit, is this like a surprise finale?
Like,
I
I don't know.
wouldn't be upset with how everybody was
Sure.
choosing to leave and retire.
And I don't know if like by the end of like the next one we're gonna be going looking for Alan. Like,
Yeah.
are we leading into the final season, or is it more of like we still have to stop evil Gideon, and then once we do, then we realize that we can't, and we have to still have the legends, or what? Because then you're also gonna have the idea of like, oh well, now the legends don't get their happy ending. They don't get to retire. They have to go and do this, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I really liked when they took their picture, but then like everyone slowly just left the picture.
Me too.
It was like a time.
Yeah.
It's like Back to the Future kind of thing, but a little different. But that was really neat. And even still, like they have the idea of like, well, we can retire. We all have to be in our own times, but the making of the keys where they can still be able to see each other.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like, well, we don't see each other all the time, but we can see each other sometimes.
Sure.
And I'm like, well, it kind of gives like a little bit of a, kind of covers that issue of like a breakup when they never get to see each other ever again.
Yeah.
It's kind of a little happier and whatnot. But yeah, that quote. The quote was the important thing that
Alan's quote.
if
There's
Alan,
a lot to say every time they would say goodbye. I definitely remember that. And if you can't remember that part, I don't know, yeah, you might be a robot.
yeah. I was like, man, she saved him, but I mean, I don't know. Why would it be a fixed point? And does she literally mean Alan's death itself, or like we were saying, like, is it more of the war?
I imagine
so we
it's-
can't mess with the war.
I mean, the thing is like, I mean, for a narrative television show versus like what a fixed point could be in real life, you just might have nothing but infinite fixed points.
Sure.
You
And
know, like
I don't.
there's no good reason why something is or isn't a fixed point other than the fact that it changes too much. Alan living might do something with his family, because of loss, maybe someone in his family, or maybe time travel doesn't happen because he dies, and they have this thing like, well, we have to make him think he died, so he still does time travel, but maybe there's just something, there's like these infinite webs that come off of it that you just can't do it.
Yeah.
But it's hard because I feel like logistically almost all events are like that. Like every single decision that you make has these variables of, if I chose to, I'm driving and I go around this block versus this block, I might get in a car accident and die, or I might not.
Sure. But in the grand scheme of history, there's also, I feel like, probably some people who are more pertinent to what history does versus people who are
who the legends were initially, right?
Like insignificant was the thing, right? Like they weren't important to the timeline, so they took them out of time to use them for whatever. Because
that's what the legends are in season 1. Rip takes them out because, well, you guys really didn't do much.
Yeah.
So that's why I picked you.
So
I get you, but we can't know. And Gideon, I guess, is the only one that does know. But we just can't know all the variables.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying we can, but that's the idea of time, and whatever a fixed point is, and whatever makes it a fixed point. Mm-hmm. If time knows it's a fixed point, and that was the idea that they were talking about before. Yeah. So if there is a fixed point in that situation, and she was worried about them all dying, is there someone like Eobard who was there? That is making sure this war happens or this battle happens.
That the time race put in?
Yeah, something like that. Where that seems like time is making sure these events stay how they are, because if they change, then events go too crazy or alter too much, Yeah. Whereas if this person gets in a car accident here or doesn't, it doesn't affect time in a grand way. This person lives longer or doesn't live longer. But I don't know, the pulling Alan out, I liked what Zari said about was we'll do a big storm, take the dog tags, leave the dog tags, he'll be gone. Gwen will assume he's dead because the dog tags are there, but he can't find the body. And then he will continue to do the stuff. And as long as he makes the time travel stuff, then everything else stays in the same way. And him existing elsewhere, if they just went off and lived together alone, hidden away, shouldn't affect time too much, If they can't adopt or make a family or anything further than them themselves.
Could they theoretically go live in a different time together?
Sure.
In which case, whatever they were going to do doesn't happen anymore. But Alan dying, something in this battle is it is such that it cannot change, or else it destroys the timeline.
Sure.
I am ignorant of why, but I kind of have to assume that Gideon are correct.
Sure. That's why I was wondering if the fixed time that they're looking at is the war, and we can't stop this battle.
Yeah.
But it's can you just pull a person out and make it still seem dead? But I don't know. I'm not sure either.
I'm of I get what Ava and the two captains were saying about we're time fascists and there has to be progress and stuff like that. I feel like I'm more on the side, weirdly, I feel like I'm more on the side of Evil Gideon in terms of I get what you mean, but keeping the timeline is more important. You guys kind of accidentally don't fuck up every time. I don't know. They integrated the factory, right?
Yeah.
They say that they are good enough to be able to pick and choose moments they can change things and can't change things, but I feel like our experience throughout the show doesn't support that super well. I don't know. The chaotic good. I think that's in if you're living in your normal time frame, I think chaotic good is fine because the timeline is protected because you always would have done your chaotic good.
Sure.
But if you take your chaotic good back to things and you're changing things, your chaos can lead to destruction.
I guess it just depends on if it does lead to destruction or not, right? Is integrating that factory.
Apparently, they were going to fuck up and take Alan out of they didn't know Alan was a fixed point, right? They were going to do that.
Yeah, but are they right about that or wrong? You know what I mean?
I don't know why.
What makes it a fixed point? The only thing that made it the JFK, or not JFK, the Franz Ferdinand thing was that Thawne was there making sure it stayed the same. That it wasn't even time really acting on it. It was Thawne there.
Well, he's there because if that goes...
Because of time rates.
If that messes up, then it destroys everything, right? Was the idea?
He's
guarding it.
What does that mean?
He's guarding it because it's a fixed point. It's not a fixed point because he's guarding it.
Is it?
Right?
I don't know.
What
happens if it changes?
I assume the timeline changes so crazily that everything like blows up. Time quakes.
Oh. So like the integration of people in that factory didn't seem to make a big deal,
Apparently,
right?
it's not as big of a deal. Nothing significantly changed.
I feel like
I think that's a writing narrative. I think that's nice, but I think in like quote unquote real life of time travel, like that would have so many different changes that it would be like one of those like I don't know, the variables changing would just ripple like and go crazy. But I have to trust the word of Gideon is a thing. Like I imagine if Gideon says it's a fixed point, there's nothing to do to save Alan. Like she knows X, which is the infinite amount of information about that. So I have to just assume she's correct that it's a fixed point and they can't do anything about it. The legends don't have X, the infinite knowledge to know that. So I had to kind of side with evil Gideon, even though I don't think that she should be robot killing people, you know?
Sure.
But maybe. I don't know.
But like, so we should, like, if a fixed point, like, this is the first time we've dealt with fixed points too, I feel like, right? Like, we've never really had to, like, try to change a fixed point. I don't feel like they really mention those too much. And every once in a while, like, there's small little changes, but nothing too major. But, I don't know. Like, I feel like the integration of a factory would make some changes, but I feel like they'd be for the better. And if it's not a fixed point, then maybe things just end up better in the present day.
I mean, it's one of those things where, like, let's say we removed. I mean, this is purely hypothetical exercise, but
we
make those people's lives better because those people's lives are now better and have less, not great, but less strife in them. A descendant of theirs grows up in a different situation, in which case they don't have to overcome something, in which case they don't achieve something because they didn't have anything to overcome. Like there's little tiny ripple effects where like that could, if they just said, no, this is a fixed point, you can't do this, I just have to accept it.
Sure.
You know, like, I wonder, like, her calling her a time fascist, like, is implying that Gideon is putting her will over others. Whereas it feels like Gideon is, or evil Gideon, they kind of both have the same goal at this point. But Gideon's point of view is that there is a objective way things are to be, right? And not the way that you want them to be, which I understand that in a present storyline, but in past storylines, I feel like you're putting your will of how you want things to be over that. Like, in which case, if you call her a fascist, you have to call yourself a fascist. I don't know. It's complicating something that is meant to be,
complicated?
I suppose. It is complicated. We'll change our Facebook status to complicated.
Anything with time travel is going to be complicated regardless.
Which is why I guess I kind of balked at the time fascist statement.
I don't know.
It implies that you know better.
Yeah, but also because she also has a future, like, do the decisions that they make in the present then, they have to go a certain way, right? Because she's like, I've seen the future and this is how it should be. So, like, does that mean that just no one gets a decision on anything then?
I mean,
and if so, does she keep it all the same, and could it lead into a time fascist kind of situation?
The Time Masters were, eventually it comes down, they have that time forged thing at the vanishing point. They were changing time to suit their own agenda, right?
Sure.
And Snart blows it up because, like, there are no strings on me. People have free will. You can't change the timeline to suit how your thoughts, feelings, beliefs are.
Yeah.
And even though it's for the good, isn't that technically what the legends are doing? If, like, they're integrating that factory, like, they're changing the timeline based on their own beliefs and thoughts, right? And it's technically, like, I have to assume all those consequences of that are good.
I mean,
and I feel like that's
they are, but they also weren't, right? Because weren't the other people there being like, well, we can do that job just as well as they can. They just won't let us. Like, it wasn't necessarily like them saying like, oh, well, can't you do this job? And they were like, oh, no, we can't do that. They were saying like they won't let us do that job.
Yeah, the problem is like the unforeseen consequences of something, in which case the only person that has that knowledge, or I would assume that has that knowledge of what the unforeseen consequences are, is Gideon. So if Gideon would say, yeah, you can do this, that's fine, it doesn't change things, versus you can't do this, it does change things in a irreparable way or destructive way. Like, I feel like Gideon is kind of the authority in that regard.
Unless she's not, and it's not that she's looking at what the changes are, just that the change happens.
Sure.
Right? Like, there's a difference of like, well, here's what the timeline is,
Mhm.
and then when she sees like, oh, well, it's changing.
Yeah.
This changed it. We can't do this.
Sure.
Versus like, well, what's the difference between them or anything, and should we leave it how it is, and do we lose anything?
I guess it's the exact opposite message of the Flash, in terms of like when the Flash changes things versus when the Legends change things. Like in terms of like what is the right thing to do and what is the right thing to accept as like you can't change this or you can. Like they're almost two opposing messages being like labeled as the right way to think about it. I don't know.
I guess I don't know. It's the I know the time traveling mechanics they have are different.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that affects anything or if it matters at all or not. And then like like you were saying before, like having Gideon, does that help it or does it not? And is Gideon making the decision? Should it be more of a tool of what Gideon says, or should it be like the default? I guess. Like, is what Gideon says, should that be like this is how it should be, or is that just like a tool that we can use to kind of help gauge what we're changing and where it goes?
Sure.
And
no, I think that's
I don't know.
Definitely. Like it used to be the Legends. I mean, that's what Rip was doing in season 1, right? He's changing the course of the future to stop Vandal Savage, right?
Sure.
Selfishly, but
For his
Vandal
family and
Savage
stuff.
was needed to unite the world and stop the
invasion,
Therangarians or whatever they're called, from coming. And like when we change that, but like there's those, it's that thing where it's like it's relative. But where you are from in your timeline, changing the future is something that's free to you. Changing your past is limiting because you can change the very world in which the circumstances led to your birth. Like creating these paradoxes. And I think that's what the time wraiths through different means, because they had like, Black Flash, and now they had like Reverse Flash but no powers and technology. We're like trying to fix. But again, the problem with that is that it's relative to where you're looking in the timeline as your present.
Sure.
You know?
No, and I think that's where the issue comes in play too, because that's why, like, I don't know, time travel is a great thing. Like, time travel in here has been created because of someone who's wanting to go back and save someone who has died.
Yeah.
So like that's where time travel starts. It starts by someone wanting to change their present. To being something different, or change the past to alter their present.
Sure.
And like that's the only reason to have time travel, right? Is to try to do that. Like otherwise, there's no reason to have time travel. Essentially, right?
Yeah. I mean, other than like just like information gathering, I suppose.
But information for what? And once you have that information, is that not changing the timeline?
If you act on it, yeah. Like if you have a person that has sworn not to affect or change or tell anybody the stuff they learn, they go back and they learn something, and then they lock that in a secret library that would never be opened. It doesn't change anything, but that person has gained information and it never uses it. Like I can see like value in that for the individual, but not to the point where it changes the world.
Why is there value in that if they have it and can never do anything with it? And I think having it would they could then do stuff with it too, right?
I mean, they could, or they could not. It's like that's a poor example. It's like, secret archives in the Vatican, right? They have these like crazy security protocols because there's information in there apparently that if it gets out, it changes the face of the Catholic faith, And people are like, well, isn't it better to have information and truth to more conform to reality or not? And their answer is no. So they have that information, but they don't let it out. So it doesn't do anything. There's no change in the status quo from that information.
Yeah, but someone knows it.
Someone does.
So it's probably changed their faith or beliefs or whatever, right?
For that person, but as long as that person doesn't then affect other people, it shouldn't have much of a change in like the overall timeline possibilities.
But them doing that, does that not change the timeline because they have done it that way?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Like, what if that information was supposed to be out?
Yeah.
They didn't release it.
Oh, I mean, supposed to be is the operable question. Like,
well, yeah,
who
no,
says
but like,
suppose? What is the supposed way?
I mean, if they were a time traveler and they locked away information, then...
Well, in that example, there's no time travel. It's just that there's.
How do you know?
I don't.
See,
but you can say that about anything about.
Exactly. I'm just saying, like, if anyone that has information, like, the power of information can affect anything, whether you're releasing it to the public or not.
Yeah.
Like, if I know how to make fire and I go back in time and I make fire, I have the information. Sure, I don't tell the caveman Joe, but I just make fire. Like that.
Like if you go back in time and learn how the pyramids were made. Now you know, like all of these experts have no idea. They have all these different theories, and maybe one of those theories are right, but you know the correct theory. You could then just not tell anyone.
Sure, but
right?
is that not? What if that changes what I do in the present?
I mean, I guess unless you're making pyramids, I don't know how. Unless you go and tell someone.
Well, I mean, you don't know why the pyramids were made or how, right? What if something that I know now affects something I do in the future? I know it. I didn't tell anybody, but now I know, so it changes something I do.
I mean. It's an impossible question because you're asking like almost to prove a negative, but I guess like what would you knowing how the pyramids were built change?
I mean, I don't know how they did it. I mean, it's aliens. So now in the future, I go and I start looking for aliens. I find alien proof, which I would have never done had I not known the aliens made the pyramids.
So now you have proof of aliens, but you have your prerogative of I'm not telling anybody any information that I learned when I went back in time.
Sure. But
so
now I'm looking
into
into aliens and finding out that there's really aliens out there, and I've changed the future because...
Well, how are you changing the future if you don't do anything with that information?
I'm looking for aliens.
Oh, so you are looking for the thing.
Yeah, but I didn't tell anyone the information.
Well, but you're
I'm discovering them now in the present.
Yeah.
But I didn't tell anyone in the present they're aliens.
Oh, okay.
I'm discovering that they're aliens.
Gotcha.
But I would have never had found there were aliens had I not known it in the past.
I guess my
prerequisite
of like you go back and you can't do anything with the information that you found.
But how do
you're
I
superseding?
How do I know what I would have done otherwise had I not known that information?
I mean, you don't do anything with the information that you gained. Is the line that you can't cross? You're just saying that I'm crossing that line.
So anything I learn, I just have to like try to forget it then.
You don't have to forget it. You would just know it.
Yeah, but knowing it just sets you on different paths depending on what the information is. That's what I'm saying, right? Like if you, I don't know, if you had I'm trying to think of another situation of it, but like having information, just having it, not telling anybody, you still can act on that information sometimes. It's just like saying like, well, now you can't. It's like, well, I already know that this is a way that I could do this. Why don't I just do it this way? Depending on what it is. I don't have great examples for that because it's so hard to just pull a random example of it. But I feel like having the knowledge alters things just by having it. Like if I know how to cook stuff, I will cook differently than if I don't know how to cook. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you're saying like, well, if you go back in time and learn the secret recipe, you just can't cook that recipe.
Well, if you like have like a vow and part of the argument is that you don't use that information, then yeah, you just don't use that information. I will concede that like if you go against what we were talking about, then yes, it works.
Then why go back and learn it at all?
Well, it can have value to know those
what would be the value to know it if you can't do anything with it? You know what I mean? Like that's a weird thing to be like, oh, well, time travel is useful to learn things you can never use.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
I mean, at the very, very, very least, it's about believing as many true things as possible and not believing as many false things as possible.
What does that mean? Like, what does that do?
Exactly what the words mean. What are you talking about?
What does that do?
I don't know. Maybe we should stop the conversation.
Well, I don't understand. I believe it. Okay, but what do you do with it? Nothing. I was like, oh, okay. I don't know. It's just like a weird...
I mean, I have beliefs I don't act on.
Yeah, but you know if they're true or not, right?
Well, if I know, then it's
belief,
knowledge.
yada yada, yeah. But you like,
yeah.
No, I'm yadaing what I'm saying. But like, if you're saying like you have facts that you know that are true now, you have those. So now they're no longer beliefs, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're like, I don't know if I believe in God, and then you go back and you're like, oh, this is Jesus, and he did this. And now I know this stuff's true, and you come back to the present, and now all of a sudden you believe in God. Like, but you shouldn't believe in God, is what you're saying, right? Like you can't believe in God because now you would change your present. Because now you have the information of it, right?
Yeah.
So like what do you do there?
Now that I know God exists?
Well, you would, right? Because you went back in time and you have the facts that, oh, this is great. But now you come back to the present, you just can't believe in God.
I think you
right?
can.
But you can't,
I just can't use that to like convert others.
Well, yeah, so you should just go to, like you would just go to church. But if you didn't go back, then you wouldn't go to church. Like, are you not changing your present because of what you went back and learned?
I am, but I think I'm doing it for myself. I'm not affecting like a timeline of other people.
But does that in turn affect the timeline?
I have to ask Gideon. What? I'd have to ask the person that has X information, infinite knowledge, to see if that would change things.
But like, this is kind of my point of like, if you have, why go back to get the knowledge if like it's gonna affect things? It just depends on what the knowledge is of how it affects things. So like, if you have someone who doesn't believe, and then they go back and they're like, now I have facts that I know God exists. When you come back to the present, they're probably gonna act on those facts. But if they didn't, and just didn't go to church, I don't believe in God, even though I saw proof that God exists.
Sure.
It just seems like just a weird scenario to be like, well, why did you go back at all to learn these things? You're better off just not knowing.
I do agree that you've placed me in a weird scenario.
I'm just saying, like, I don't know.
I guess trying to wrap it all back, using that as like a basis of an argument, should the legends do anything?
I mean, the things they should do is act on people who are changing the timeline for the worse. But who's to decide who's changing it for the worse?
Right. Whereas Gideon or evil Gideon, because it is kind of two different sides of that person, would say anyone that's changing anything, that there should be no change.
Sure.
Right? It should just be allowed to progress.
The weird thing with that, though, is that you're being told by an AI who has knowledge of the future, where you don't have that.
No.
So she's stopping anything, but for your perspective...
Well, she's stopping anything that's changing, right? There's the
from her perspective. But from your perspective, she's stopping what you view as just time. You know what I mean?
I guess the line of, like, from your perspective is anybody that's using time travel to change things? Like Time Pirates, Time Masters,
like
The Flash.
If you were just here, and all of a sudden a guy just walked through the door, said some shit or whatever, and you're like, oh shit, okay, this is my present, this is where the time's going. But then all of a sudden Gideon shows up, it's like, oh, this shouldn't happen. But you're like, but this is the present.
Was any of those, me or that guy, a time traveler?
I don't know. I have no knowledge of that, but Gideon tells you it is.
I love it. In your argument, you deny me the information.
No, I don't know. He just showed up, started saying shit.
Sure.
All of a sudden, an AI came in here, killed the guy, took him away, said, forget this.
Yeah. She can flash you.
And now you can't interact with the information.
I suppose.
So, like, it's just like there's this weird thing of, like...
Sure, you were trying to find the standard in which you act upon someone that you would stop to protect the timeline. I guess... The standard, I always felt like, should be people that are actively changing the timeline.
But should it only be people from the future that do it? Because, like, if I'm in the middle of the timeline, I don't know what's in the future. But I kind of know what my past was. But also, maybe what my past is got changed and my past is wrong.
Yeah.
So, like
if Evil Gideon gets her way, and I keep using Evil Gideon for lack of a better term.
Sure.
There is no change to the timeline.
I suppose.
Whereas if the legends get their way, there is a progressive change to the timeline.
Yeah, I guess. She did actively do things in the timeline that were weird.
Yeah.
Right? Like now we had like Robot Edison and stuff.
Robot Edison. That theoretically hasn't changed anything. Other than the fact that it was a Robot Edison that no one would know about.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it shouldn't change anything. I get like, okay, well, Hoover was killed by the legends. And they ate his body.
They ate him.
So like, okay, we got to put Hoover back in there because he's important. Did they kill Edison, or they just made Edison a robot? I forget what happened there. But I don't know. There's just some weird.
Doesn't Gary just go into a random spot in the timeline?
I think so.
People have fallen out of that thing before. It's not death.
Well, that's what happened to the pods, right? Those pods from last season.
It also happened to Grant. I think he had his suit on, but it happened to Ray too, right? Didn't Ray fall out one time?
Yeah, maybe.
And it was just like in the was how when he was in the samurai time?
Maybe.
I don't know. 7 seasons, a lot to remember.
The closest one I have is whenever they had the pods of the aliens that they were taken back to Bishop, and several of those fell out into time, and then they just scattered among time. Right? That's where the moth was in the hit past, and we had whatever other alien thing showed up on that weed show.
Yeah.
Right? Like those were like just they fell into time stream and just went somewhere. So Gary should just go somewhere, but if he lives, I don't know. He should live because it's Gary.
Yeah, he's an alien. I'm assuming that he's probably just super durable.
Sure.
He'll just show up somewhere, and that's where Gideon.
I was waiting for him to turn into an alien and like tentacle grab some stuff and not fly out, but he just
He had the glasses on.
So I don't know.
It's that classic question of when he has the glasses on, does he still have his tentacles?
I don't know. I don't know. The show does what it wants.
I love how we go super deep on like the fixed point, what you can change, what information does to change, and then there you're just like, I don't know, he's got the glasses.
I don't know. I don't know if they removes them. I don't know if they take the place of his hands. I don't know if they're like wrapped up in there.
Yeah.
You know, like Like if his alien form doesn't have a dick, but his human form does have a dick, like can he have sex in one and not the other? Like whenever he's just like, does he have pants? Like he doesn't look like he has a dick or pants.
I felt like whenever it was given to us, it's just a illusion. You put these glasses on and you see a person.
Yeah.
But he's actually still an alien, like objectively. But that doesn't seem to be the case with how they've used it since the beginning.
Yeah,
of using
I don't know. I'm not sure.
But I've always liked that it's literally the glasses that make the disguise in a world that Superman exists.
Yeah, but even the mouth, their mouths are different, right? So like Gideon and him kissing, like what does she feel?
Does she accidentally grab one of his tentacles sometimes?
Yeah, can she?
When she runs her hands down his back.
Yeah, maybe the tentacle is what goes like. I don't know what it does. Yeah. I have no idea.
Like when she's kissing him, she get like a tooth in her lip.
Like didn't the tentacles put the eggs in Mick?
Yeah.
Was it tentacles that did that?
I think so. His head.
Yeah, in the back there. Now his babies.
It's a weird show. We can have such varying conversations.
I suppose there's aliens and time travel and fucking Bibo pinatas.
Yeah.
And demons and hell.
I know. And it didn't even go into my head as a possibility that Gideon was just going to be fine the next episode.
Wasn't that one of the options?
I don't think so.
Did we have being healed as one of them?
Did we?
Let me look. She will be saved.
She will be saved?
Yeah. That could easily be like, well, she's saved in the consciousness of the computer,
Gotcha.
but there's specifically her consciousness will be put in the Wave Rider. But she will be saved was just...
She will be saved.
Yeah. It's like, whenever you said that, I'm like, I think one of those kind of covered that section. So those 24% people were right. Everyone else, you're wrong.
They were right.
She didn't die. She didn't get in the way.
Turned her shit back on, dealt with it, and then it felt like a finale in a way.
I like the idea of a Gideon AI and a Gideon captain. I think it's a neat idea, but not if the other Gideon's evil. But is she evil? Is she not evil? It's just a perspective. It's perspective.
I mean, I kind of thought like with what Gary was saying about like I can even out the perspective of like, yeah, it doesn't have to be logical all the time. It can be about the emotion. I kind of thought that's what this version of Gideon would do for the other Gideon. And you would have those two, but now it's like 3 of people that would do that.
Sure.
This one affects this one, that would affect this one.
What I think it is, you have Gideon, which the Gideon trusts Gideon, because of Protocol 276, and they can't kill her. So you have that Gideon who is AI and human and has been trying to learn her human side and has her AI side. If you keep ironically, the not human Gary, that helps to appeal towards her humanity side, and then you have the AI Gideon who appeals towards her AI side.
Sure.
But if you get rid of Gary, she's just getting influenced by straight AI, and she starts falling back into that way.
No, I get you. Like it's like an angel and a demon on the shoulder
Kind of,
thing.
yeah.
I suppose when it was originally they thought up the idea, I kind of thought as like Captain Gideon and Ship Gideon being the angel and demon on the timeline shoulder.
Sure. She would just be the AI version, and this would be the humanity version. I get you. No, I don't know. I think that would work too, but she just has too much AI in her still, maybe? I don't know. I don't know. And the perspective of the other Gideon is just not great. I don't know. So if they go back and they save Alan, does that then prove that the fixed point that they believed either was wrong or misunderstood?
I would say yes, if it doesn't destroy all of reality.
Is that what would happen?
Isn't that what a fixed point is?
I don't know, but I don't know what it is.
The fixed point is that like if you unpin it from the timeline, then the whole timeline comes crashing down. It's a foundational fixed point.
I thought it was just like it drastically changes a lot of the future from that point.
Sure.
Right? Like I don't know if time...
Yeah, I mean, our timeline falls, another timeline replaces it. Which, I mean, it's exactly what happens in The Flash, right?
Yeah.
That's what Flashpoint is.
I feel like that happens from like most changes. Like if you change that, anything in the future is drastically changed.
Therein lies my problem with Sarah and Ava's like argument with Gideon, in that like I don't know. I think emotionally I understand what you're going for. Logically, I don't think it's sound. But it's a TV show, in which case we can do anything we want.
Sure.
So it just seems like this Legend of Tomorrow went this way and The Flash went this way, opposing directions, both stating a moral highness over the other.
Yeah, it's just weird to be a superhero to time travel because you gotta stop bad things from happening. But if you're not supposed to stop bad things from happening because the timeline has to stay the same, then, then what are you doing?
Well, in that regard, you have to define what bad things from happening is. Is it just bad events in the timeline that have always existed, or is it other people trying to change events in the timeline, and that's the bad things from happening?
Sure. But even in acting on those, you're going to change stuff.
Probably.
So at that point, you might as well make it for the better.
But for the better is to be determined.
It's not. Well, I mean, it is in the moment.
It's not. It is.
But you're like, this guy's going to stop this guy from killing him. Yeah. It's like, well, we've already changed this stuff. People know this stuff. Let's just stop this too.
So you have to hope that doing that doesn't change things to the point where everything comes crashing down.
Sure.
In which case you have to have a standard of evidence for that. And I would say an objective one, not necessarily an emotional one, which I think would be Gideon, but I do not know.
So if the Earth is going to get hit by an asteroid and destroy the Earth, and that's the way the timeline is set for the end of the Earth, you shouldn't act on that asteroid. I mean, that's got to be a fixed point, right? That's got to be like a big moment on the timeline.
I would imagine so, yeah.
But we can't stop it.
Maybe not.
So from a hero standpoint, you just can't do anything. I'd stop it.
Unless Superman stops it.
No, he doesn't. That's the point. No, he doesn't. That's the point. Maybe he's weakened by Doomsday or something.
Maybe.
But, I don't know. I feel like I'd stop it. I don't know. It'd be worse as I go back and I get knowledge
if you do stop
I can't do anything to say about it.
Like the idea of it, like let's say you do stop it, because you stopped it, another, like 5 billion years in the future, that asteroid hits another world, and they die.
They should have invented time travel.
You've now killed all.
No,
you're right. You're right.
They should have, but no. Like if we destroy the asteroid, maybe it's small enough now, it won't be a problem.
Yeah, I know that's also excusing the slim possibility that an asteroid's gonna hit.
Yeah,
two different things.
It's not very likely. It's such a big, wide area.
Yeah, I know. I get you. But I mean, isn't that's a trolley problem, right?
Well, yeah, it's the final destination kind of like, oh well, we gotta fix it so it's gonna hit something.
Which eventually just gets to the point where it's like, just live your life and quit thinking about this shit.
I suppose.
Check out some Q&As?
Yeah, you want to look at Q&As?
I do.
Disappear from picture. I still like that.
I wonder if people can go back in our Legend of Tomorrow playlist and like point out the episodes in which Eric and Aaron argue about time travel and arguably end up with nothing.
Can you imagine if we watched this show over the years and we've argued about it so many times and we invent time travel?
Right?
Wouldn't it be crazy?
Yeah, that would be crazy. But I guess my main point of contention on all of it is that we've had to have so many different versions of that discussion because they've changed the rules.
They have. Because we talk about it because of Flash, and then like in the Legends early on, I feel like kind of fell with Flash a little bit, and then it turned into like a little bit more like the concrete-y thing.
Yeah. But it's like little things like, is this technically Sarah or isn't it? Like it's kind of a perspective thing. Like they're walking down the ship being like, so many years in this ship. And in my head I'm going like, I mean, your other ship was destroyed. This is a different one, you know. But effectively, it's the same ship.
Yeah.
Except it's not.
So Legends Q&A, hashtag Legends Q&A.
Yes.
We're gonna look at it over on Twitter. We had Alyssa who says, "Is there plans for a season 8?"
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Maybe not.
Could be the end. Which
I mean, we never know anyway. But you guys usually do.
I'm not like hating what they're doing with it right now. I'm curious on where we're going with things, and if they have like happy retired endings, but also like ways that they can see each other, or maybe that key could help cross over. Like, oh, we need help. Okay, let me get this person, this person. Here's this crossover event thing that we can do.
Sure.
It's a way of keeping people where like they can join in on a special CW event, but also like, well, the show's done, you know.
Ironically, after the conversation that we just had, I enjoy Legends because it's kind of a chance to turn off my brain and just enjoy, like on this weekly crazy superhero time travel show that you're not really meant to think as hard as what we usually do. But if it were to, let's say this is just the last season, like I won't be like upset, you know. I won't be like, no, I must have more. I just I'll be slightly bummed that I don't get this hour a week to just enjoy.
Sure, where they just like, who knows what they're doing this week. Silent Angel says, "Hey guys, my question is, how does Evil Gideon compare to the other big bads in the series? Big bads previously have been Vandal Savage, Thawne, Malice, Neron, boyfriend demon. Lachesis, the Fates, and Bishop.
In terms of enjoyment, I got a lot of enjoyment out of most of the others, but Evil Gideon is the one I probably just have to wait until after this season is done, but I should say the one I agree with the most. Like, I think that she's technically right, but the show is telling me she's not. and I sit and pause and I'm like, what am I doing wrong?
So you're on her side.
I guess with incomplete information, yes.
I don't know. I like the Fates because they had the thong song.
They did have the thong song. That's right.
It's a really good one.
I
did like Bishop more.
I love Bishop towards the end, but I mean nothing really beats the Legion of Doom and how much fun those three actors had on the show.
It was so fun to see all three of them together. So that might be my favorite. And they did George Lucas.
Yeah, true. They just brushed off the Hawk people in this. Oh yeah, and the Hawk people. They didn't even say their names.
Yeah. Hawk people.
Carter literally came back for the 100th episode. They said, them.
I feel like it was a tongue-in-cheek kind of like just mention of it. Mad says, and maybe this is part of this, with the assumption that the show gets a season 8 renewal.
Yeah.
How would you expect the ending of this season to leave off? And of all the season cliffhangers they've done in this show, which one's been your favorite? How would they leave off? I mean, my assumption would be maybe they try to do the Alan fixed point thing. Things get messed up. They have to stop Gideon. Thus, they can't not be legends right now. So they have to keep being legends. The other thing is, like, if it is going to be like the end, maybe we get Gideon to a point where she's understanding of it more, or we've fixed her AI or replaced her AI or something. That maybe they don't have to come back. But
yeah,
I don't know how you get to the end of it. Otherwise,
I don't know. I guess that this episode lulled me into like this false sense of I mean, if we get a season 8 or not, I guess we don't know, but a false quote unquote sense of closure. In which case, I was like getting ready to be like, okay, that's how it is, and we're done, you know. And then if that's not the case, will you be able to get me again with that, you know?
Robin says, "What is this liquid coming out of my eyes? This show better not end unannounced." Honestly, I like when shows end unannounced because I like to, you know, I don't want to have the assumption of like, well, what they're doing here doesn't matter. I know there's gonna be more.
Yeah.
You know, like if there's a season 8 and you were watching this catching up at some point, or season 9 or season 10, like there's times I've been catching up on a show, and they have what feels like an ending of it, and I'm worried for the characters, and I'm like, well, I can't be worried. There's
more seasons.
10 more seasons, you know, or whatever the case may be. So, it's nice going through here and not knowing necessarily what's coming to be like, man, this could be the end.
I get you. I have had situations when I finish a show and I go, all right, okay, well, and I look for the next one and it's like, oh, there's no more. Like, oh, that was the end? Yeah. I'm like, oh, kind of wish I knew that was going to be the end, or maybe I would have felt differently. You know, because sometimes situations happen in a TV show where you're like, well, I know nothing bad's going to happen. And you kind of feel that way until you know it's the end. Sometimes you have scenes like, this is an end of season or end of series scene, you know? And now I can start feeling those thoughts. So sometimes, like, I like to be aware, but other times I don't like to be aware, and I don't have a standard in which I can tell the difference between those two.
Sure. Are you thinking more of like when watching live shows, or more so like a catch-up? Live?
Yeah.
Like you want to know it's the ending?
I mean, unfortunately, my answer is yes and no. Some I do, some I don't, depending on how they handle it. But I can't tell which one is which, so I don't have a good standard. I try to default to I don't know.
I feel like in today's climate, I expect every season's the last one because things just get canceled sometimes randomly.
That's true.
You know? So, like, my assumption's always like, this season's probably the last one.
Yeah.
Unless they've already announced that there's another season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially like Netflix. Because they're just like, that's it. I was like, what?
Yeah. Like, I'm always a champion for the storytellers being able to tell the story, to be able to set your expectations and all that. Like, I'll always default to that. But unfortunately, sometimes that's not in their hands, and sometimes they don't get a chance to tell an ending because it's just gone. You know. So yeah, I don't know. It's a question for me without one answer that handles all possibilities.
Dip says that the idea of Legends ending one day had me crying. I hope it doesn't end for another 10 years. I love this show so much. Poor Gary, I feel bad for him. Hopefully he had his key on him to the mansion.
Yeah.
That might be good.
That would be good.
My question is, do you think all the futures that Gideon showed the legends were real? I think even if they were real, Zari might try to change hers. Also, what about the other Zari? Does she not get a say in this huge decision?
I mean, being a fan of Yoda's line of always in motion the future is, I don't like the idea of it, but I mean, it from an outside perspective that Gideon is looking at, I don't know her, like, if there would be a benefit to lying necessarily. I don't know.
Sure.
Because if she just wanted to like lie and make everything like everybody had a perfect future that they would say no to, I don't like Zari probably wouldn't have had her like, well, this isn't enough. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
It could definitely be a thing, but
it'd be weird to lie to some and not to others.
I imagine our Gideon would be able to tell if it was a lie or not.
See, and this is one of those things too where like this isn't even past, this is future knowledge. And I feel like that's going to affect what they do, right? Like trying to not act on it. Like when they look to adopt, they're like, oh, well, we could adopt 6 boys and stuff. But they're probably going to still look at girls and end up getting a girl. Yeah. Are they going to look for the girl that they're trying to remember from the video?
Sure.
Are they just going to look for someone else? Will it just happen? And if it does happen, did they get a decision at all? Was it like fated? I don't know. There's all those kind of things that fall.
I get you. It's a weird thing to consider in a set of rules that don't exist.
Detective Axifoli says, I don't know about anyone else, but I'm starting to think that the show's really going to be canceled. Like, how often do the legends just bust out a cake?
We had cake 3 times this season, I think. We had the 100th episode, had cake. Was that also the episode where they celebrated all the holidays at once?
Yeah, I think so.
They had multiple cakes.
Sure. They celebrated a lot of holidays there.
No, yeah, it definitely had a feeling. Like, it felt like there were scenes in there that only exist for a finale feel or a closure feel, which is what was getting me.
Yeah. Chicken Noodle Soup says, more for Eric than Aaron, because of obvious reasons. Eric, would you hit a Bebo pinata? Especially when you know there's candy. Yeah. Or perhaps money. Maybe both inside.
Absolutely. I don't think that's actually Bebo. It's a piece of merch.
Just start smacking it.
Yeah.
So I can go get that Bebo doll and we can just start hitting it?
Is there candy in it?
Maybe. I don't know.
We got 2. Just don't get the one that Jancy bought. It's like, it's a pinata. They're made to be hit. If you don't hit it, it's not fulfilling its purpose.
I suppose. I heard Caramel said if someone swapped out your partner for a clone, how would you be able to tell that it was a clone and not your partner?
I suppose if I know about the whole, like, do something in the back of their head and you can pull out their memory core thing, I would, like, just check it every once in a while.
You're just gonna rip on their hair?
No, I don't think you get to rip on it, but you can, like, wait till they're sleeping.
You gotta, like, pull it
You can, like, wait till they're sleeping and be like,
I mean, it should feel natural, right? Except for if you grab it and yank it out.
Maybe.
It should be in there.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would probably just explain, hey, like, I had to deal with this thing where we had doppelgangers that were, like, replacing us. So maybe we can have some type of code word, in which case, like, only us knows those things. Also, I'm going to tug on your head every 2 months.
Do they get to tug on your head?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know how I would know. I feel like it would depend on what they act like. Like here, like Gwen wouldn't have been like, oh, I will know he's a clone if this or that. But in talking and having their conversations, it felt wrong. Sure. It was like, he should know this, you know?
It's poor programming.
Yeah. Like if like Melanie was like, oh, hey, Melanie, how you doing? And all of a sudden, like, I just had a balloon, I just went, pop! She goes, oh, that looks like fun, let me do it. I'm like, and start yanking her hair.
Just hanging her hair. And people, we won't give any more context to that. Because some people don't understand what you mean about popping balloon. And what the fuck? What do you say?
I can't give too much information, or else if someone makes a clone, they'll understand why. So, I can't tell everybody. I don't have a diary so they can, like, read it and figure it out. Yeah. So, everything's in here. Jack Fern says, who do you think is the best actor on the show? Oh, man. They also ask if you think Gwen will be in next season, but if there isn't a next season, then I have no idea.
The best current actor on the show.
I would say Nate.
Yeah?
Maybe I just enjoy his, like, ridiculous roles that they give him. Like the big Nate and the like Snake Plissken Nate and the Like, I really enjoy those a lot.
I think the girl that plays Zari, it's unfair to rank these actors,
Sure,
you know?
sure.
But I've been consistently impressed with the girl who plays Zari and the Constantine Gwynn actor.
Sure. Matt Ryan.
I
can't remember Zari's name.
He's really gets to stretch and show some range as Gwynn Davies.
And I've never not believed that those two Zaris were different people. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, those are different people. Also, like, I think the actress that does Gideon does a good job where I believe that she is Gideon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
I believe she's some kind of AI. She just plays it off well, and the way she rattles off different information, sometimes it's very quick, but also understandable. Like, it's not like a disclaimer on a commercial where it's like, may not provide. What the fuck did they say?
I get what you mean.
And then Melodark Hero says, what is your ideal ending for the series of Legends of Tomorrow, and how would you want it all to end?
I mean, I would have said, if you asked me this years ago, the Legends come back and kill themselves. Because they have, like, the ultimate fix to the timeline is stopping the people that fix the timeline, and now you never have to do anything again. That would be an interesting one. But other than, like, something like that that's unexpected but also kind of already happened, I guess it's just, like, I don't know.
I feel like I want to see, the very last scene is seeing the Wave Rider coming in the dark, crash, some guy gets out. Like, I feel like we've had that 2-3 times already.
Yeah.
Like, Our Man was one of them, right?
Yeah,
like,
it was.
like in the end of the first season or something. Like, having that kind of happen again.
Sure.
Like, might be a nice, like, look, wow, what? And then, like, here we go. But
I feel like you could go cliche and say, like, well, they find another group of time travelers and they turn out to be all their descendants. So like, you're gonna have a legacy of the Legends of Tomorrow that revolving cast keeps going for the next trillion outside of time years.
Sure.
You know, but I also don't want to have yet another show where we have to deal with their future kid. You know, because that's just happened way too much in the CW and others.
I suppose. I like what they're doing here right now, I think, too, because the idea of them being able to retire and have lives, but also with the keys, with the mansion, it gives some connectivity to where you could get everyone together if you needed to.
Sure. Just like a simple retirement.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. And you're like, all right. Like, I thought the idea of having, like, well, sure, the Legends are out there doing stuff with robots.
Yeah.
But we don't have to anymore. But they're not, like, evil robots anymore.
Yeah.
Where, like, you can be like, they will take care of time and we can retire. And then we don't have to follow the robots anymore.
Sure.
You know? Or we could.
I mean, I guess best case scenario is what's happening, where you have, like, Gideon, maybe Gary, out there handling that stuff. When we have a big thing, gather the team. Which works both for any other Legend of Tomorrow stuff that you want to do, if you want to like a Christmas special or something, or you want to have them in crossovers or something. Let's go get the team.
Yeah.
All right.
That seems good. All right, guys, that is the last Q&A. So before we leave today, we also need a poll. Guys, if this is going to be the final season of Legends Tomorrow, and we just haven't known, are you guys happy with where we're at and how it seems to be ending? Or do you want more? Let us know over at patreon.com/blindwave. Leave some comments talking about it too, and we will talk about those in the beginning of next week's episode.
Like, I wouldn't be like, fucking thank God, I'm happy that's over, but I wouldn't be upset either. So I will probably default to, like, I'll be good with it.
Yeah. I think so too. Like, I think, like, they've done a lot of stuff.
Lots of stuff.
Like, so much. They've covered so many things. This whole season here has just been a very different season too. And it's like, well, once you do time travel and you keep doing stuff, and it's going to get crazier and different, and how long can you keep that going? You know, I don't know. So, I don't think I'd be upset if this was the final season. And I like the way that they're kind of connecting it to, like, if it does end, everyone's retired and here's this. But also, like, say they do end it like this, and then they say, hey, you know what, season 8's coming back, and then they just pick everyone up and they go again. You know, like, so I don't know. I'm okay with how it is right now.
You can check out that poll at patreon.com/blindwave. Poll writer tier is $1 a month, and you can interact with every poll. And heck, this month, if you were doing it, we already have 2 polls to replace shows. So there's going to be more of that in the future.
And movie polls every other week.
Yep. Guys, thank you very much for checking out this video. And once again, we must say, thank you for everybody that's already subscribed. And thank you to the people that are going to be subscribing in the next 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I don't know why I looked at the Washington.
How does this work?
Subscribe.